Charleston, where his family has lived for 8 generations since 1672, Norwood Hasty was asked if he thinks slavery was immoral.
No, I don't. Because when a slave came from Africa, he couldn't speak the language. He was totally untrained to do any job at all that would fit in with the civilization. Someone had to take care of him. Someone had to take care of him 24 hours a day.
God damn! Well, I suppose you couldn't just let him off the boat and wander around. Like, what the fuck would they do? Like, all right, I'm not doing this. Sorry.
And it's pretty hard to do that unless you owned a person. So I think slavery just had to be in those early days.
But there's a lot of African Americans who are coming around to being grateful that their ancestors were slaves, because if they hadn't have been, they would have been still in fucking the majority of them in Africa, living in fucking squalid conditions, you know. And Jesse Lee Peterson is of this kind of mind frame as well. He's thankful. If it's not some great troll, I don't really know. I'm divided on that still to this day. But yeah, there's a fair chunk of Black Americans who are thankful that their ancestors were slaves, and they're coming. I think they're finally coming to deal with it. That you have to let go of it eventually, like that your ancestors were slaves. Everybody's fucking ancestors were most likely slaves at some stage in the game. It's just unfortunate that the last large amount of slaves happened to be fucking black, a different color.
Yeah.
From their masters, who were a very small amount of people in America as well. To hear them talk, you think it was fucking everybody owned 100 fucking slaves. So they can't shed the blackness and the skin of the slave. And it's handy to have as well, because you can go, well, it's because my ancestors were slaves, you know. Anyway, let's listen to one of the slave owners actually talk. I'm being interviewed by what seems to be a well-educated black man.
What was life like in those early days?
As far as the colored people were concerned, I feel that they were a good bit happier than they are now. They had less in the way of material things. But I can remember back in the 20s when I was a small boy, they were always singing at their work. They had a great sense.
Swing low, sweet chariot.
Like, hang on, he's talking about fucking, what do you call them? Sharecroppers? Not like slaves.
Oh no, he's talking about slaves, like
in the 1920s.
Maybe sharecroppers. I don't know. When did slavery end proper? When was Mississippi? Was it the last state to abolish slavery? Can you check quickly? Invoke the joint search engine there. Ask them, when did slavery end?
Yeah. When did you get?
When is this interview?
1865, man.
Right,
like, there was, this whole thing in the Constitution about it, and, you couldn't, own a person after that point,
Yeah,
So that's why I'm thinking, this is weird, man. He's talking about sharecroppers. And sharecroppers basically owned part of the land that their parents originally were slaves on.
Yes, it's Jesse Lee Peterson. His parents he was working on as a sharecropper as well. But was still the master who owned the land, and the master would come around and look after him, and they'd have that relationship with master. It doesn't say when this was. Anyway, yeah. Right, we'll carry on.
Now today, they just don't care much about that as they used to. And I think they've lost their sense somewhat, which I deplore.
What do you think are the differences between the races?
I think there's a refusal to accept responsibility. I think there's a lack of motivation. I've tried here to promote people to foremen, superintendents, but they just refuse to do it. They just don't want the responsibility. They don't worry like the white man. If they have troubles, they go to sleep and wake up the next morning, and that trouble is over.
Is it possible that white people have something to do with the lack of ability for blacks to assimilate into this culture?
Absolutely. The white man has certainly been prejudiced and to quite an extent unfair. But customs die awful hard. It takes a long time, and everyone knew years ago that the Negro would have to be given equality. But in the South,
It's just a term of reference, you know.
Yeah, that's all it was. Yeah.
And listen how frank he is. Listen how frank the man is. To our modern ears, it's shocking, you know, because we've been fucking. Oh, you can't say anything mildly offensive at all. But this is the kind of conversation we should be having, you know. Wouldn't it be wonderful to sit down with whoever and just have a fucking frank conversation with them? But you have to, I suppose, be willing to have someone who's prepared to listen as well. And this black lad's doing fucking well.
knowing Negroes as we think we do, we realized it would take time.
He's gone from coloreds to niggers to nigra. he's getting it all in there. Like, oh, hang on.
Unfair. But customs die awful hard. It takes a long time. And everyone knew years ago that the Negro would have to be given equality. But in the South, knowing Negroes as we think we do, we realized it would take time. It's been compared to straightening teeth. It takes a slow, steady pressure. You can't do it with a hammer.
Wow.
And white people's
We invented a nigger brace.
attitudes will change in time. I'm a lot more liberal than I was 5 years ago, and I know I'll be a lot more liberal 5 years from now, and I think almost everyone else is in that category.
What has tended to make you more liberal?
Well, realization that the Negro is a human being like anyone else.
Mr. Hasty, what did you think we were before you began to think of us as human beings?
Well, in a way, we thought of you almost as a very superior pet. Something.
Oh, this is gold.
Or rather someone we had to take care of, because we had to do so much of their thinking for them. We had to do almost everything for them that, except living their own lives. Anything outside, we had to do for them.
Mrs. Lionel Legg retains the tone of a past she cherishes.
So Daisy was my little playmate, my maid, my friend, and the daughter of old Catherine, who was a cook that we adored. And so all those years, we played together, and everyone was happy. We never heard of all these things that we hear about today. And there were nearly 100 enormous rice plantation with many animals around and a beautiful old house and about 100 colored people there. But we loved them, they were our friends. And then it's no disgrace to say they're like children. When we say that, it's because they are like happy children, some of them. Because they like to sit in the sun and rather than work hard. And they'd rather play than work.
If you could, would you paint a picture for us of what it was like on the plantation in your early days?
It was a lovely, happy time living in open spaces with many lovely colored people and animals and flowers and fields. My father had everything thoroughbred, from the pigs, horses, the dogs, and the people had to be thoroughbred. And we would get into a buggy with him and drive to the plantation from what we call the Pine Land where we lived. And we would spend, every Saturday this was, and we would spend a day in old Fortune, I can see him now, would give us dinner, and we would have a heavenly time. And old April, he was the dairyman, that's all he did. All he did was to skim the cream over these great big bowls of clabber and put them in the wooden churn and churn this marvelous fresh butter. That was April's job. He didn't do anything else but love us and skim the cream.
The Southern white man just loves to say that, oh, our Negroes are happy. They like it. They like the way things are. If other people would just leave them alone, there wouldn't be any problem.
No kidding.
And some, I think, really believed it. And I think that that's one thing perhaps that sort of thrown them off balance when all of a sudden their Negroes just weren't behaving the way they thought they ought to behave. You were just a doormat. And that's where the good relations came in. As long as you're a doormat, we have wonderful relations.
Mm-hmm.
They just felt that until recently, relations between Negroes and white were just so very good. Just wonderful relations. It's outside agitators.
Mm.
And yet, it never occurs to them that they were good on whose terms.
It's almost like our masters are having the same problem, isn't it? It's that goddamn social media. These fucking 73 IQ slaves for getting uppity. He's uppity nig.
On their terms.
Every man, woman, and child in Mississippi can rationalize how they have always been friends to the colored man. All of a sudden they wake up here one morning and are told that what the way they've operated for the last 100 years is wrong. This is a hard thing to just tell a man that he spent his life doing something wrong. He doesn't have to believe it. And then all of a sudden, we're some kind of demon. If you live in Mississippi and run a cotton plantation, you're supposed to be some kind of demon. This is the national image of a cotton plantation operator in the Mississippi Delta.
Humphreys McGee owns a 2,500-acre plantation in the Mississippi Delta.
McGee?
His mother's family
Brother Ulick.
has been in the state for 7 generations. And on his father's side, the McGees moved to the Delta from South Carolina. Charleston was the elegant capital of Southern culture in the 19th century. Mississippi was the frontier. Attitudes hardened early. The old way of life has endured in Mississippi longer than anywhere else. Whites and blacks in the Delta look at the past from different angles, but it is a shared past.
See, the Civil War's over, and regardless of the evils of slavery, these people understood each other. It was not some sort of medieval torture for a person to be a tenant farmer on a plantation. And I don't know anybody that's ashamed of the system, the way it worked. On the plantation, I have 15 boys working machine operators. But I will say that the system we had was a system that, on the surface, developed a very outgoing, happy group of people. They're old people now, but these are the people that I grew up thinking I knew.
I work hard, he work hard.
I worked hard. I'd get up at 4 o'clock and get my breakfast done. Just at dawn of day, I go to the field and we pick cotton.
Mr. and Mrs. Haywood Jenkins of Sharkey County, Mississippi have, between them, picked cotton for over a century.
My boss man came along. He says, Mary Jane? I said, sir. Says, I say, when you wash? I said, I washed last night. He said, I don't want you to do that no more. That's my agent, you know. He says, every Friday morning or Friday evening, you wash. And let all the children stay there with you until you get through. When you get through, then y'all can go back to the field and wait. Now, the agents was mean, some of them. Some of them was mean. They want to whoop the colored people. And that time the white man come along. He says, hey, but you ain't in the field yet? He just had started plowing. He said, yes, I've just not had to eat my dinner. God damn it, you ain't doing a goddamn thing. Says, God damn it, I ought to take this damn stick and frill the hell out you. He said, no, he said, if you frill the hell out of me, goddamn, I frill the hell out of you. It makes me feel bad if I was under them, you know, how mean they was to treat us like that.
This system, in its best sense, was based on noblesse oblige by the landowner. But I don't have 83 families anymore that I feel like I'm the daddy of. I do not expect to ever have this relationship with the younger generation, the children of these men. They are oriented entirely differently. They grew up in the 50s. They're conscious of the change in the status quo. They are fairly confused about what their position is. They don't want to be subservient.
From when I saw my mother and father and my brothers do while I was growing up, I feel that I don't want any of my kids to come in a world like this, because I know some days I saw my mother slaving from 6 in the morning in hot sun, 100-degree weather, from pulling a hoe in a field from
I'm
6
terribly
until night.
confused about what I'm watching, because there were, by federal law, no slaves after 1865. So when is this being filmed?
I don't know. Well, he's talking about people from the 50s. So
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if we've moved. Like obviously, that earlier footage looked much earlier. And then we've got. I don't fucking know, man.
I'm very
This is the
confused.
first time I've watched this. So obviously they're talking about the sharecropping. So it's pretty much the same fucking thing, isn't it? Like that, slavery is illegal, but it still carries on in
a kind of a legalized sense.
Yeah, so they've decriminalized it. But it's not like they could just
Loophole.
up sticks and leave. Okay, well, we're going off now into the wide world, like the fucking.
Yeah.
Please leave the cave. If everyone could just leave the cave immediately and go on about your business and find your way in the world, it's like, well, what? How? I don't understand. It's
Yeah, when you're like broke as shit, and all you can do is what you've been forced to do all your life, which is I guess pick cotton is all I ever hear about. Yeah, you're not going to have any opportunities whatsoever. So yeah, you need to stick on the plantation. Only you nominally get a part of it.
Yeah, but Jesse was saying this was a better way of existence for a lot of black people, and then what happens is the social welfare system comes into effect, and people become dependent on welfare. Not all, but a lot, and then everything goes to shit. Like the family structure collapses. The men start to leave the family, and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But again, I have no experience of being a sharecropper. I don't know how you'd measure it objectively, but a lot of African American communities seem to be in fucking dire straits in America. I imagine it'd be quite difficult to get them back onto the plantations. They may not want to go back there. But yeah, we'll carry on. I'm confused as well. Like I said, I didn't watch past the first kind of 2 minutes.
With about an hour's break between us all this time, and my father doing labor that machines would even be made to do hardly. The labor's that bad. And I feel that if we've been working this long and can't even on the shirts on our back, I feel that we have to take some drastic steps to
You have to keep our eye out in case we see Jesse. Wouldn't that be fantastic? If we saw young Jesse Lee saying he loves it.
Make something happen, to make a change come about, because Mississippi's going to either have to change or there can't be no more Mississippi.
Wow.
And we have to do this in any means that's possible.
Wow. Those are fighting words, man.
Any means necessary. I don't know. Maybe Jesse grew up on a good plantation. There would have to be, depending on like anyone who has a boss, You know,
Yeah.
bosses didn't end with fucking slavery. Like most people still have a boss, and just to some degree or other. So if you've got a good boss and he looks after you well, then why
You're
wouldn't
lucky.
you be loyal? And I'm sure all bosses think that their slave or employees, I love them, and why wouldn't you? Like, sure, you know, you just come here like 8 hours a day, you do fuck all compared to the boss. What the boss does, the boss has to run the whole fucking business, make sure it's profitable, has to pay everybody. You know, if it wasn't for the boss, all you fuckers would be broke. You'd be starving and dying in the fucking streets.
Through our parents, we've earned Mississippi. It's no question about it, brother. I mean, if my mother got there and sweated from morning until night, and you tell me I don't own anything she sweated on, I mean, how can that be? How can it be?
Yeah, good question. I wonder that myself too. About, you know, my situation and the situation of many others. Yeah.
His institutions. And that's what people fear that would happen. You just don't want to turn over the reins of everything and give up control. Who wants to give up control?
Awfully out. Okay, guys, get in the car. Let's go.
So white supremacy is undoubtedly a feeling that white people have all over the world. Of course, how the black man and the white man would live together has been the paramount concern of people ever since the Mississippi Valley was settled, especially when the greatest number were the black people.
It's natural, as Humphreys McGee says, to want control. In Mississippi, white control has made the past hard to distinguish from the present. More than anyone else, the spirit of resistance to this control has been Fannie Lou Hamer. At the 1964 Democratic Convention, Mrs. Hamer was a leader of the attempt to unseat the regular Democratic delegation from Mississippi.
Mississippi is still a very rough place. You know, people is not just walking up like they used to do in the past, walking out, you know, shooting a man down or getting maybe 200 or 300 people carrying you out and lynching you, but it's in a most settled way. You know, they can let you starve to death, not give you jobs. These are some of the things that's happening right now in Mississippi. See, Mississippi is not actually Mississippi's problem. Mississippi is America's problem. Because if America wanted to do something about what has been going on in Mississippi, it could have stopped by now.
That bitch got gold teeth. Where'd you get those gold fucking teeth from?
It wouldn't have been in the past few years. Between 40 and 50 churches bombed and burned. You see, and this lead me to say, you know, all of the burning and bombing that was done to us and the houses, nobody never said too much about that, and nothing was done. But let something be burned, you know, by a black man, and then, my God, you know, you see, the flag is drenched with our blood. Because, you see, so many of our ancestors was killed because we have never accepted slavery. We had to live on it, but we've never wanted it. So we know that this flag is drenched with our blood. So what the young people are saying now, give us a chance to be young men, respected as a man. As we know, this country was built on the black backs of black people across this country. And if we don't have it, you ain't gonna have it either, because we gonna tear it up. That's what they saying. And people ought to understand that. I don't see why they don't understand that. They know what they've done to us. All across this country, they know what they've done to us. This country is desperately sick, and man is on the critical list. I really don't know where we go from here.
Well, bigotry means that you believe in a creed, a cultural stem of life, a way of life, and this I do believe in. I believe that we have communities here we've developed in our country that we have to protect, and I believe a community way of life has been developed for 75 years, and I don't believe it should be broken up. And I think that this is the way we'll have to fight for it from now on in. It's going to be a community life versus those that want to come into it, and that's going to be rough. And if this means racism, it's going to be practiced on both sides.
You're a practicing bigot, then.
Practicing bigot.
Lapsed, actually. I'm lapsed. I've never heard that before. Practicing bigot.
I believe in my way of life.
As far as I'm concerned, things are getting worse in America. I haven't seen where American did nothing for the black people. What have American did? Is there a few Negroes with higher position, a higher job? That's still not helping the grassroots. I'm in the grassroots. My little brothers around here are in the grassroots. My sister is living in the grassroots. She's still living in the grassroots. As a young black man, I feel that I have an obligation to my race of people, not to no other race or no other nationality, just to black people.
What the black man who leaves the South faces when he comes to Chicago is described by the Midwest Director for the U.S. Civil Rights Commission, John McKnight.
In the South, he knows who the man is, the man up there on the hill in the big White House. And when he comes to a city like Chicago, it's much harder to determine who that man is. It's such a complex society. It's a different man who controls the house from the man who controls the job, from the man who controls the welfare, from the man who controls the hospital, from the man who controls the school. And I think what's happening is that he comes rather quickly to the conclusion that the man is all the white men. Not being able to discern his specific captor, he decides that all people with white faces are his captors. To the degree that all white people are engaged in supporting the systems of separation and racist institutions that we have in the North, that judgment is basically accurate.
How do these institutions function in a racial way?
When we develop any kind of a system that by definition excludes people who are poor, inner city, limited education people, we are saying black only. We might as well put the sign back up because it's the same thing, same bag. The problem that we have in white America is that most white people, when they hear about white racism, most white people say, man, that's not me. I never discriminated against anybody. Never did. And in their sense of what discrimination means or what racism is, they may be right. But they sit residing in a system from which they take full benefit, a system that defines them in and defines black people out. We are going to have to face the fact that we are not a community. A community is where a lot of people develop mutually beneficial relationships with each other. And our racist institutions and the political boundaries of our cities define black people out of the community. White people will sit in their suburban homes and watch their television programs and hear about all of these laws that are being passed. Many of them are beginning to wonder, well, what is it with those colored people down there? Why are they so upset, all this wonderful stuff that we're doing for them? But we aren't focusing on the black man living on the block. He lives in a two-flat on that block, and he knows what the circumstance on that block was 10 years ago. And he knows what it is today, and he, too, has heard about all of those programs and laws being passed. But the hard fact of the matter is that things are not changing for him. It's no wonder that the white population and the black population are pitted against each other when the black man knows that the change is not coming, and the white man thinks that major efforts are being undertaken when they are not. So I don't think anybody should be surprised when one sees the black people in an open attack on the system, because I suspect that they don't see that there is any other realistic alternative.
That was very well expressed, and the whole documentary itself was very illuminating. What I gather from it, married with all of my experience of talking with people on both sides of this discussion for years now, is that basically you had these workaholic Protestants that settled an entire continent, and they just went balls to the wall industry, decided they needed people to do that work for them. So they took these people who are used to just occasionally going out to do a hunt, and then the majority of their time is just kind of chilling out and, doing their thing, living life, and bring them to work these intense jobs that they didn't ask to do. They didn't ask for the plantation to be built or for this giant economy to exist that they are now pulled into. And of course, they're looked upon as lazy. And there's really no way to kind of social engineer these people into that Protestant society. So no wonder it hasn't improved the way that anyone would hope that it would improve.
Yeah,
in all these years.
Yeah, they've yet to become quote unquote white.
Yeah,
or wasps. So yeah, and that's the argument that some people are making, that they can't, but I can't accept that because many do.
Yeah, my wife was, I mean, well, her son once told her that she's white. So, well, what do they call it? What do they call them? Oreo, is it? Or no, something like that. I don't know. Black on the outside, white on the
white
inside.
on the inside. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's another clusterfuck. But again, if it was white slaves that they had brought over, after a certain amount of time, you couldn't tell purely by looking at them. I don't know what scientifically, if Africans, if they're incapable of adjusting to modern society or technologically advanced societies. But yeah, somebody what was saying the beginning of woke. I think listening to that last fella talk.
Yeah,
but you would have to, try and integrate people into society, because if you don't, you have this large class of people who are just going to cause fucking mayhem and destroy shit. Because the urge to survive is pivotal. It's not like the same things don't exist in our fucking society and other societies. It's just that so happens that the people at the bottom don't so happen to be black, at least at the moment. Now that may change in the future, given that we've decided to colour fucking code our society. But there is an underclass in Ireland. How that underclass developed, what its roots are, I don't know. I suppose the closest thing we have would be the travelling community. For whatever reason, they decided to break away from the main culture, be it they were put off their land, and I don't know. I haven't looked that deeply into it, but I think that would be the closest we have, where there's been efforts to integrate these people into mainstream Irish society, put them into settled houses, have them accept the mainstream culture, but they don't want anything to do with it. Their old way of life is gone. It's not coming. It can't come back. There's no need to have people, repair fucking do tin work and the likes of that.
Yeah,
it's just not needed anymore. So they work to their own tune. How it goes, I think people get really annoyed with kind of blacks in America, because it's like it seems everything that possibly could have been done and more has been done, but it's never a fucking enough. Because you just hear people constantly fucking whinge and complain about the white man, the white man, the white man. And that guy had a great point, is that they can't point to who the racist is. They just see the white man and assume that every white man is the racist. And it's kind of flipped on its head now, where a lot of white people are in a worse situation than a lot of fucking black people are. So it's going to be very hard for an underclass white person to listen to some fucking middle class black dude who managed to get a place in college, not just because he's black, but in no small part because it's black, and then have people fucking lecture them or have some rapper with, gold dripping off his fucking teeth start telling, people that the problems with America is that it's institutionally racist. So I don't know. Maybe segregation is needed, but I can't see that happening.
Yeah.
In America. On a small scale, yeah, we know there's projects go on where people have decided, okay, well, we don't have anything to do with blacks, and let's face it, black people in America a lot of black people hate white people. Like if it's the fact that they're murdering people simply because they're white, and beating people up on the streets because they're fucking white. And again, I don't know how prevalent that actually is, but it's kind of flipped on its head where there doesn't seem to be a lot of white people actively hunting black people on the streets or lynching them. It seems to be the other way around now, like as far as I can tell, anyway.
Yep. Yeah. I think the reforms that were attempted over the last 80 years plus in the United States for the black community failed for the same reason that socialism, Marxist socialism failed or always fails, because you can't remake man by like some kind of scientific approach, like a top-down approach. It doesn't fucking work. Because it is true what that guy said. The guy living in the fucking shitty apartment block, doing what he can, he hears about improvements being made and he doesn't see any change in his life or available opportunities. Like, maybe the folks in the chat here will disagree with me there, but like, it's fucking true. So like, what, you have to kind of see both sides of the coin here.
Yeah. So look how they act on carnival tours.
That's the new thing. Yeah. Carnival Cruise Lines, because of COVID, they had to lower their costs because nobody's going on cruises anymore. And just, you fill in the rest with your imagination.
Yeah, listen, man, I've been on a few package holidays in my time. I can tell you, Irish people aren't much better. Well, a certain type of Irish person. But again, it boils down to, is it a culture thing? Because not every African American is, like that kind of low impulse fucking degenerate. And that's the argument that's been made in the States. And a lot of African Americans are starting to realize that as well. That you can't just blame the fucking white man on everything like that. At some stage, you have to take some level of responsibility and go, okay, well, we have to look at our fucking selves. What is it within the culture? Like after 60, 70 years, which isn't a very long time, but it's a fair chunk of time. That nothing has really fucking changed for a lot of people. That they just, no matter how much money is pumped into the community, no matter how many opportunities people are given, nothing really changes. And the culture, that kind of rap culture, gangster, thug culture, whatever the fuck it's called, still persists. And there seems to be no way of breaking it. So the perennial question is, well, what do you do with these people? Do you keep them on social welfare and just accept it as some sort of social bribe? Or do you cut them off from it entirely and leave them to their own devices? And then that's a separate issue to deal with. Or, do people, which has been tried, do they go down the eugenics route and sterilize them, and that's it's retarded to even say it, but like that's not a good idea. Because it doesn't just stop with those people. It can be easily applied to Irish people in a different situation, or us in a different situation if we're not considered productive enough. And there's enough people in Ireland who have that mindset where if you're not productive enough, you don't deserve to be here, because we've got people queuing up at the fucking door from. Shouldn't be on the same holidays, Gavin Pepper. We've got people queuing up at the door. We've got Indians, dying, begging to get in here. Not just Indians, but who will work like good fucking slaves for the opportunity. And then it's like, well, Irish people will now have to compete with that. I shouldn't have to compete with that. Some people don't want to compete because some people just find that there's not much joy in that, working for buttons for what? Just the ability to survive. But then you got to ask the question, well, why should everybody else do it and you benefit from it,
Dars, tell me where this is going on. Charlie's wife is speaking now. What's going on? Where is it? Because it's not on Charlie's fucking Twitter. Oh, Jesus. Is Dars in our chat? Yeah, he is, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in our Discord.
Yeah, I have seen some of those carnival tours. They're not pretty. And if I was living in the States, I'd stay well away from any sort of African American community. I'd probably, given what I've seen, and I don't know how representative it is, but I wouldn't feel comfortable going into any kind of urban black community as a white person. I just fucking wouldn't. Even for years, I've seen people being assaulted on the street purely because they're white. Seen enough videos of where a white guy gets into a fight with a black guy, and then fucking 10 black guys are on top of him in a second. And yeah, white people have been too.
It's
timid.
YouTube. Fuck's sake.
All right. Oh, cool. Do you want to click it there? Are you setting it up? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, there's a feedback thing. You know the way it's almost sounds like reverb?
No. As Paul saying, Paddy need not apply. All Irish businesses are incentivised by government with 7,500 tax break. Yeah, that's true. It's not only that, Paul, as well. It's a lot of loans for companies are tied to DEI as well. One of the companies I was talking to, one of the directors, and he was saying that the majority of business loans are tied to DEI hires and all that horseshit. And Yobi admitted that he hates doing it, but for the business to survive, has to do it.